Received an agenda from staff. One of the first items on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We've got two sets. The first is August the 5th, and the second is September the 2nd. The August 5th minutes were actually tabled last month to this month. We had three members present, Mr. Giesler, myself, and Ms. Hartshorn, at the August 5th meeting. So let's take that first. Are there any corrections and or deletions to the August 5th meeting? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it, I guess I have to.
You do. Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens? Mrs. Hartshorn?
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Giesler?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes. Second item is the minutes from the September 2nd meeting. Any additions and or corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those as submitted.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens? Mrs. Hartshorn?
Abstain?
Mr. Giesler?
Aye.
And Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. How this process works is I will call out an application. If you all would, please just step to the podium, tell us a little bit about it. The board, if we have any questions, we'll ask the questions, and then we'll go from there. The first item on the agenda is Mr. Sneed.
Okay, let's see, you want me to give my name? Sam Sneed, 14911 Old Jonesboro Road, Bristol, Virginia. Okay?
How are you doing?
Doing fine, you?
Doing fine, sir.
Good.
Can you tell us a little bit about your application?
All right, put new back doors in the rear of the building as the picture shows, and I'm just trying to make it look better. And I'm wanting to build, well, as the next picture, this is a building down on the other end of Abingdon. And anyway, all I want to do is just build like an awning, shed, roof, whatever over the back. Very similar to that. The door's 3 foot wide, so I would expect for it 4 foot wide would be the canopy, if you will. Painted white, and then put the whatever color metal roof on it you want me to have, green, gray, whatever. To kind of match, so.
What is the color on the existing roof?
Well,
It's a flat roof. isn't
It's
it?
just flat roof,
Yeah. On the structure.
yeah.
You go back to the structure itself, color.
Just that one,
Red brick.
Yeah. But you're going with the shed type awning, correct? Okay.
Yeah, just again, just like what the one right there on in that picture.
Yes,
I
sir.
thought it was easier to take a picture and try, I'm not an architect, so therefore the picture I thought
Yes, sir.
would maybe show what I wanted.
What color roof are you?
Well, it doesn't matter to me, you tell me. I mean, you know, I've got some green metal, I've got some gray metal, so it doesn't matter to me. Whatever color you want, that's what we'll make it. I just want to protect the doors and make it look better going down Plum Alley.
Yes, sir.
And then my next step will be to repave the lot, which that's coming, but do one thing at a time.
It's not really the board's place to tell you what color.
Okay,
But
let's put it green then. Kind of a dark green.
Something of this nature, Mr. Sneed?
Yes, sir.
That color?
I think that, yeah, the side, not that side, the other side. Yeah, there you go. That's what I've got.
Okay. Metal roofing? Okay. Then, if I understand, shed type awning, standing seam, metal roof, no striations. And then paint the sides.
Yeah, have the sides white and then the fascia board be white.
So these windows, are these doors or windows in this picture?
This is back doors of the
They're
building.
doors, they look like windows in this picture, they just look short.
Oh, okay, well,
Okay.
I'm not a good photographer.
That's okay, I just
They're-
wanted
They're
I
regular
can
doors.
see that now. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
okay.
That just enters off the back with plumb out.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is this gonna be like the awning you're calling it that goes over top of the doors, is that going to be like something that's constructed, or is it gonna be like an awning?
No, we're gonna make it. I mean, I'm gonna construct, put wood to the wall and so on and so forth. It's gonna be, yeah,
More of a roof style.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
classified,
yeah.
you know, as an awning.
Something that'll last rather than having an awning per se.
Correct. So we've got a shed type classified as awning roof,
Mhm.
green.
Just to protect the rear doors.
Yes, sir. Green standing seam, no striation, metal roofing, white fascia board, and white sides. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You understand what we mean about no striations, right, on the standing seam metal roof?
Well, what he had is what I'm talking about. Is that what you're talking about?
Let's see if we got just an example.
That's about the closest thing I've got.
A true standing seam roof has your standing seam,
Okay.
and it's flat in between.
Okay.
There's no ridges or little indentations
Well, that's
in
cool.
between.
There's not, I mean, if that's what's supposed to be, that's what we'll use.
It is,
Okay,
that's how, in olden days,
okay.
those were the roofs.
Like what's on the courthouse.
Correct.
Okay.
Those were the roofs. As technology has improved, with the striations in between, you can use a thinner metal,
Mhm.
and people have gone, or companies have gone to that. It's not historically correct.
Okay.
So we don't want this kind of thing, we just want it flat between the two raised seams.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. You don't want it to look like a barn roof.
Right, exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
with you.
Okay.
Alright. So again, standard awning, shed type, standing seam, green roof, white fascia.
Mhm.
Any questions? If hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second? Have a second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mr. Geisler,
Aye.
and Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is Ms. Blevins. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you all?
Doing fine, thank you.
So, I think I was here 2 years ago and you all reapproved our patio and pavilion. And since that time, we've rethought the parking, which kind of changes our landscaping design as well. Instead of just having parking along, off of King Street, what we would like to do is reestablish the driveway that was there, that was actually where our patio is now, coming off of Wall Street and then going out onto King Street. We currently have and have had parking, we've kept one parking space on Wall Street and one on King Street, and then we always park in the yard as well, because that's what we are doing right now. So that's what we want to do, and particulars, 6-inch base stone, 2 to 3 coats of liquid asphalt, and then using the brown pea gravel. Do y'all need to see? I brought it. And this is actually, it is in the historic district. It's what my husband put down at 314 Valley Street. Back of the, if you are familiar with that end of Plum Alley.
Yes, ma'am.
And, so, questions?
The guideline is actually section Section 8 and everything that you touched upon is in the guidelines. A corner lot, as far as the landscaping, once mature, will provide screening for the driveway. The base stone with asphalt is permitted whenever slopes, but you're using the asphalt primarily as a binder and then covering it with the Brown Creek pea gravel, which under Section 8A is what's recommended. Any questions or? That helps.
And I guess we have gotten our approval from the town for the entrance permit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So she looks at this. Yeah.
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a motion and a second, roll call please.
Mr. Owens? Aye. Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Thank you very much. It's
Thank
gonna look
you.
good.
Yeah, I hope to have Thanksgiving out there.
The next item on the agenda was Mr. Howard. That item has been tabled per his request until the November meeting. That leads us to number 4, the Lane Group. Mr. Lane. How are you doing today?
Well, how are y'all doing?
Doing fine, sir.
I'm just here for a sign. When we, by the way, my address is 310 Valley Street Northwest. When we moved here 6 years ago, we put up a sign that's still there now, and it's gotten faded, and we just want to replace it with a new one. Basically the same size, the colors are a little different. It'll be green and white with a black background.
This is an example of what you want to do.
Yes, sir. The 310 Valley Street poles and upper part is already there. We just superimposed what we'd like to put on the sign there.
The materials and the sign, look to be in compliance. What is of concern is the actual size. The guidelines relative to signs specify 4 square feet. They can be double-sided, and you're still limited to basically a 2x2 or some configuration there. This one is a little bit larger than that.
I think, and you are correct, I guess if you include the service signs that go below it, you are correct. I think the main sign, the one with the Lane Group on it, does meet the requirements as far as size goes.
Yeah, I had,
We'll come really close.
36 by 18s, 648 square inches, 2x2s, 576. So it's a little bit over, but I guess what you're proposing effectively is 4 different signs.
Well, I do understand that. I guess the main sign was set up, though, the building's set up really to have multiple businesses in it. So the sign was made to have multiple signs. I don't think if you look at Dr. Umstock's sign and you look at the ballet sign that's right on the other side of that one, that even with those, it's going to be much bigger than what they've got. But I do understand that what you're saying, and we can do whatever you tell me that I got to do, obviously.
Well, and it's section 42 of the guidelines that addresses signage. And whenever I was looking at this, you know, if this was a multi-tenant building, something of this nature, this is actually something that the board, I don't want to say struggled with, as to what is the best way to handle multi-tenant buildings and things. But this is just a single tenant building. And we have been very strict on limiting just the dimensions. You know, to a 2x2 or to 4 square feet, whatever, you know, however that works out to be. Is there a way to condense that, or?
Were you wanting to leave the post, is that what you're saying, and just change out the middle?
Yes.
So what's the distance in those posts? I don't see.
30, I think they're 36 inches between the two posts, so it's about that
So
way.
that's already.
It's already there, and my existing sign is already there. And again, the existing sign is the same size as the one that says the lane group right here. The only difference is these engineering, architecture, and environmental placards that would hang off of the sign or be located down the middle. I can't get all that. I mean, my existing sign now has it, but you can't see it, so it really doesn't help anything to have it there. So that's why we come up with this concept. And again, I mean, I'm fine with whatever the board's pleasure is there.
In our sign ordinance, is the height part of the dimension? Because, you know, like that thing goes with the West Valley above it. I mean, that's considered one sign, or are you saying?
That's the sign structure.
Right.
And it can be up to 6 feet.
6 feet high? Do you know how high that is right
No, but I'd say it's,
now? It looks higher.
It's taller than 6 feet.
It's taller than
higher
6
It's
feet.
a pre-existing sign structure, so that.
Right, I just was curious as to the size of it, if we're trying to figure out how to get it.
it's probably here.
Right.
I'm 5'11", so.
Okay. I'm just trying to think how we can get it to fit within the guidelines with all that you want to put on there.
Our struggle is consistency, and as you mentioned, the other two businesses, I'm not sure what sizes they are. And
And I don't want to create any issue at all for those folks either. I'm fine with, if you want me to, I can take the services off and just leave the lane group. I just like to have my services on there so people know what I do. Yes, sir.
Is your current sign of the same materials?
It will be, basically, it's that, the Bristol sign made it. It's the composite,
High density polyurethane.
yeah.
Well, I mean, our guidelines say that signs should be fabricated out of traditional materials such as wood or polymer which closely replicates wood.
Yeah, and that's what it'll look like. If you've seen the existing sign, it looks like it's wood painted blue. Yeah.
So we're just dealing with the size issue.
Yeah.
That's, whenever I was reading, that was really the only concern. You know, I have no doubt the sign's gonna look good. The material is polyurethane, the colors are, you know, up to you. It's just a size, it's a dimension.
Okay.
And if this was a multi-tenant building, something of that nature, then there may be different avenues, but this is a single tenant, just with your engineering group. Everything I read needs to adhere to the 4 square feet in whatever configuration.
Okay, well, I can just take off the services then if there's no way around it.
Does that bring it down?
Well, that gets it close. If you
And
could
are you
go,
leaving the West Valley Street up there too? Is that considered part of it then, or? 'Cause that looks like another, I don't
That's
know, 8
considered,
inches high.
the code says, Ms. Hartshorn, that they have to have, the numbers.
The address on
the
there
address
for-
on something that
right.
can be on a sign structure, or it can be on the building or a mailbox.
Okay,
Well, doesn't the sign ordinance 42B say Signs should be kept to a minimum with no more than 2 signs per building or 1 sign per business, whichever is greater. So you get 2 signs per business?
Technically,
Do you have any other signs on the building?
I've got one on the actual building back facing Plum Alley.
But then you get into the sign ordinance again that says you should have 1 per street frontage.
and the way we've always handled that was 1 sign, basically in front, freestanding or affixed to the structure, per business. But I'd love to help you. I've looked, and if I'm overlooking something, but what the guidelines specify was roughly 4 square feet. I think if you could just modify the top down to make sure it fits within that 4, high density urethane material, the colors are as presented, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Then I don't see a concern with that. You all agree?
So you're saying it's gonna be 2 signs, the top and the bottom?
Well, the top is actually the address.
Right, and that's not anywhere on your building or anything, you have to have that on the sign. So that's 1 sign, or just a sort of a thing we need
That's
for like 911 or something?
correct.
Okay.
Correct. The sign itself is the business name.
When I bought the building, the 310 West Valley Street structure was there.
Okay.
There was just no sign on it, so I just added the sign. If I take the one off of the back, could I have another one on the front there that says engineering, architecture, environmental?
Technically under 42B, Byron.
I mean, that's how I read it. It says that you get, the limit is 2 signs per building or 1 sign per business, whichever is greater.
I agree
Yeah.
with Mr. Easter's interpretation.
So he's got 1 sign now, but he's willing to take it down to where he's only gonna have a total of 2 signs. I think he could do it.
If we could get the dimensions, yeah.
If the dimensions,
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I can
around with it.
I can play around with it and make sure.
Mr.
that
Lane, I'll also interject just for a second. You also can utilize windows for signage. We allow claims. Obviously, we want it to be tasteful.
Sure.
But you could also do that for
Sure.
the time being.
for now.
So better do it quickly.
I think that needs to be addressed.
Well, like I said, I'm a team player. I understand why you do what you do and why we've got rules and all that kind of stuff. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the office and see if I can't modify that to make it work.
Well,
And I think
and-
I can.
If we may, first of all, thank you.
Mhm.
For all your comments. Second of all, if the board is agreeable, if you're going with 2 signs on the front, the board, subject to your all's approval, we can go ahead and approve the COA subject to you submitting to staff for administrative approval relative to the dimensions.
Okay.
The bottom, and just make sure, you're 4 square feet. Actually, that would be 4 square feet each sign.
I would, to protect us in the future, I'm okay with 2 signs, okay? But we need to have that in the minutes and in the COA whenever that we're allowing that because of that.
42B.
In my opinion, there needs to be a little gap to differentiate that there's
That it's
actually
2
2
signs.
Yeah, we can do that.
Are you redoing everything that's there? Except the post?
Everything but the post. Well, in the top, I'm gonna leave the 310 West Valley Street, because that's part of the structure that was already there. Yeah, I'm just taking, I tell you what, when we put up our sign, we had survey. So my sign says engineering, architectural, environmental surveying. Well, I don't have surveyors anymore. So DPOR says I can't advertised surveying, obviously, so I'm gonna remove that from the sign. So that's what generated all this, coming up with a new sign here. And in the old sign, it's been there 6 years, and it started to fade a little bit, so that'll look better anyhow. But I can do that, we can shorten the upper sign to make sure it falls within the 4 square feet, and then we'll make one bottom and separate it so it is clearly a separate sign and make
Now,
sure it's there too.
And the services need to be on one sign.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Good. Okay, let me just recap for the minutes. We're gonna have, you're gonna be removing the back sign. The sign on the back of the building, under 42B of the ordinance, you're allowed 2 signs per business. You're gonna be placing 2 signs on the structure out front. High density urethane, the material, the colors are gonna be as presented. Each sign is gonna be under 4 square feet, and we'll have a separation to differentiate 2 signs.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct. Now, when I go back and talk to everybody about this, we may table it ourselves because we're moving the sign from the back, our parking lot's in the back. So
Yes,
when
sir.
we get deliveries and when we have clients that come in to see us, I mean, it's good for them to, of course, by now, everybody pretty well knows where we are anyway.
Oh,
so,
you all got a good business, good name, good group.
Yeah, so,
So is it the Lane Group Engineering, Lane Group Architecture, are they separate businesses?
see, that's where and it's a long story, I could go into it, but we were Lane Engineering. In 1996, we started the business, it was Lane Engineering. Since then, we've added architecture, environmental specialist, and we had at one time surveying too. So Lane Engineering just didn't fit anymore, and we changed our name to the Lane Group. That's where that came from. But of course, the Lane Group, the name itself doesn't tell you what services we do offer. So that's kind of the pickle I'm in right now. If I like for people to know.
I'm trying to work around the multi-tenant building.
I see.
So if you could go, and I don't know, we got 2 attorneys here, if I start to go out of bounds here, y'all smack me.
Unless I've got separate EIN, separate legal entities,
Okay.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Okay, so I don't need to go, you see where I was going?
And I appreciate that, I do, and I thought about that too, but yeah, I'm just one business that offers all those services.
No, I'm
I
Well, it
tried.
ought to be fun to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true, yes ma'am.
So if the motion was correct, that I recapped, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I said,
Have a second, roll call please.
Mr. Owens,
aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mr. Geisler,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Thank you.
Great, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Be sure and give Mr. Weaver a hard time with this.
And Mr. Sutherland.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I just hope we don't have any more signage issues. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm starting to sweat back here.
Miss Bucket.
You don't want to say that? I mean, I can.
It's my last day here. so-
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it.
Good, I hope you're in a really good mood then. Yeah, so we're opening a store on 160 East Main. I guess it's technically Sweet Bee, right beside of White Birch, and the new Snow Butcher Shop that's opening it up. And we are here for sign approval. I did make copies, if that's okay, of the official rendering sign.
So
Okay.
you'll be between those 2.
Yes, sir. I did make copies too of the outside of the building so we can get approval of where to hang, approval and suggestions, I guess, of where to hang the sign.
Thank you.
It will be constructed out of the high density poly, and it will be blasted to have a wood grain effect on the back backsplash of it there.
What are your dimensions? Well, you've got them here,
Yes, sir.
16 by 32.
Which is almost identical to Mr. Snow right beside of us. We wanted to be sure to complement his business.
I can't remember how he's got his mounted.
It's to the facade, mounted on bracket to the facade of the structure.
He has a triangle shaped bracket, and we are suggesting using a 36-inch industrial pipe bracket. Just will come straight out from the wall. Black. And we are suggesting hanging it right beside of the lantern that's in the picture there
Okay.
at the entrance to the building. It will be double-sided.
These are the colors.
Yes, it's just black and a off-white color with a speck of green and the eucalyptus leaf. Yes, sir.
The logo.
Any questions? The only, you were talking about suggestions, just please make sure whenever the sign is mounted to the structure itself, that it is mounted in mortar and not the brick.
Sure.
Is the height requirement?
Yeah, and that's a VDOT type of requirement. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there is a dimension that has to be so high for pedestrian travel. But I can get that for you. I don't know
Okay.
what else information I can get for you.
Because we're gonna need some.
As long as it's as high as Reed's, I
Okay.
think you'll be fine.
So when do you hope to be able?
The next week or two, but have to be very quickly. We also wanted to discuss, there is a historical pole right outside of our building. I did bring a picture of that. To be honest, we're gonna ask the board what to do with the pole because we don't know. We are fine to leave it as is, but it is just kind of a pole there.
Is there anything on it?
There's nothing on it. It's,
There was at one time. It's one of those weird situations where, a lot like Erie's Law Office and things of that nature, where they allowed them in the right of ways at that time. I don't think that the town has any issue whatsoever if they wanted to utilize that, but it is within the public right of way.
You want to remove it? Is that?
Well,
Request?
just asking what to do with it,
We're
what you're
just-
allowed to do with it?
what we'd be allowed to do with it, I mean, outside of probably stringing some garland or something on it for Christmas, it's probably just gonna stand there. We thought about hanging our sign there, but it would just come right into the right of way. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't think it would be aesthetically pleasing to hang our sign there with white birch and snow signage. So we just don't really know what to do with it.
How tall is it?
Oh, it's probably 5 feet, 6 feet, probably 6.
Well, there's a sign like that in front of the tavern, and then it has the bracket around it, and they hang their sign in the bracket. But one problem is, as close to the street as it is, delivery trucks are gonna hit your bracket. We had to move the tavern sign back because of that. I mean, it looks great, but this looks like it's pretty close to the street. But if you don't wanna use it for your sign, then that doesn't matter anyway.
We'll just leave it alone.
Well, I guess the question is, can it be removed?
Do we have that?
Is that us, though, that would make that decision?
Now, I think it being within the right of way like that, I think it would have to be come from Public Works.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kinda nice to, it's kinda nice for it, but it'd kinda be nice to leave if someone later would want to use it as a traditional sign.
And then if you take it down, you've got brick repair to do.
Well, and again, I think that's more
Yeah.
of Public Works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Another issue for another day, sounds like.
we'll stay within our area.
Sure.
So we have the sign as presented, 16 inches tall, 32 inches wide. The colors as presented, high-density urethane material, mounted on the structure. It's going to be painted black. The pipe itself.
The pipe itself is
Yeah.
already used as black. Yes, sir.
Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted. We have a motion, a second?
Second.
Have a second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
And Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
The next item we have on the agenda is the tax abatement for Mr. Lagarde. Staff has reviewed the receipts. Total amount is $4,350.55. Entertain a motion to submit this to Mr. Moriarty for his review and approval, and then on to the town treasurer.
So moved.
Have a motion and need a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens? Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Any other public comments, discussion, or business matters? Just one announcement. I would like, last meeting today, I've been on the board 6 years. Want to thank each of you for your willingness to serve. It's been an honor, it's been a privilege. I've already thanked staff for everything that they've done during the time here. Very proud of what the board's done, the consistency that we've had over these 6 years. Wish you all nothing but the best going forward, and thank you again.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Yes,
Thank you.
We hope to have you back on the board
Well,
soon.
yes. I've enjoyed it. I have. No other announcements. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
I'll second that.
Second, roll call, please.
Mr. Owens? Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
And Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Sneed.
Ladies, I
Jennifer,
apologize about
Megan.
the signage comment.
Oh, that's.
Tell them I said hello, okay?